The Torah SKJV, Simplified King James Version. By Rodney Horrell. Copyright 2017. Deuteronomy. These are the words which Moses spoke to all Israel on this side of the Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel, and Laban, and Hazeroth, and Dizahab. There is 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir to Kadesh Barnea. And it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spoke to the children of Israel, according to all that Yehovah had given him in commandment to them. After he had slain Sihon the king of the Amorites, which dwelt in Heshbon, and Og the king of Bashan, which dwelt at Ashtaroth in Edrei. On this side of the Jordan, in the land of Moab, Moses began to declare this law, saying, Yehovah our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You all have dwelt long enough in this mountain. Turn yourselves, and take to your journey, and go to the mountain of the Amorites, and to all the places near there, in the plain, in the hills, and in the valley, and in the south, and by the seaside, to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, to the great river, the river Euphrates. Look, I have set the land before you, go in and possess the land which Yehovah swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them and to their seed after them. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Yehovah your God has multiplied you, and look, you all are this day as the stars of heaven for greatness. Yehovah God of your fathers make you 1,000 times so many more as you all are, and bless you, as he has promised you. How can I myself alone bear your burden, and your load, and your strife? Take yourselves wise and understanding men, and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And you all answered me, and said, The thing which you have spoken is good for us to do. So I took the head of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes. And I commanded your judges at that time, saying, Hear the causes between your brothers, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. You all shall not respect persons in judgment, but you all shall hear the small as well as the great. You all shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it to me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which you all should do. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all that great and terrible wilderness, which you all saw by the way of the mountain of the Amorites, as Yehovah our God commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said to you, You all have come to the mountain of the Amorites, which Yehovah our God does give to us. Look, Yehovah your God has set the land before you, go up and possess it, as Yehovah God of your fathers has said to you, do not fear, neither be discouraged. And you all came near to me every one of you, and said, We will send men before us, and for us they shall search out the land, and bring us word again by what way we must go up, and into what cities we shall come. And the saying well pleased me, and I took 12 men of you, one of a tribe. And they turned and went up into the mountain, and came to the valley of Eshcol, and searched it out. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down to us, and brought us word again, and said, It is a good land which Yehovah our God does give us. But you all would not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of Yehovah your God. And you all murmured in your tents, and said, Because Yehovah hated us, he has brought us out outside of the land of Egypt, to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us. Where shall we go up? Our brothers have discouraged our heart, saying, The people are greater and taller than we, the cities are great and walled up to heaven, and also we have seen the sons of the Anakim there. Then I said to you, Do not dread, neither be afraid of them. Yehovah your God who goes before you, he shall fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. And in the wilderness, where you have seen how that Yehovah your God bore you, as a man does lift up his own son, in all the way that all of you went, until you all came into this place. Yet in this thing you all did not believe Yehovah your God. Who went in the way before you, to search you out a place to pitch your tents in fire by night, to show you by what way you all should go, and in a cloud by day. And Yehovah heard the voice of your words, and was angry, and swore, saying, Surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation shall see that good land, which I swore to give to your fathers. Except Caleb the son of Jephunneh, he shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he has trodden upon, and to his children, because he has completely followed Yehovah. Also Yehovah was angry with me for your sakes, saying, You also shall not go into there. But Joshua the son of Nun, which stands before you, he shall go into there, encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Also your little ones, which you all said should be a prey, and your children, which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go into there, and to them will I give it, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn yourselves, and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Then you all answered and said to me, We have sinned against Yehovah, we will go up and fight, according to all that Yehovah our God commanded us. And when you all had put on a belt on every man his weapons of war, you all were ready to go up into the hill. And Yehovah said to me, Say to them, Do not go up, neither fight, for I am not among you, or else you all be struck down before your enemies. So I spoke to you, and you all would not hear, but rebelled against the commandment of Yehovah, and went proudly up into the hill. And the Amorites, which dwelt in that mountain, came out against you, and chased you, as bees do, and destroyed you in Seir, even to Hormah. And you all returned and wept before Yehovah, but Yehovah would not listen to your voice, nor give ear to you. So you all dwelt in Kadesh many days, according to the days that you all dwelt there. Then we turned, and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as Yehovah spoke to me, and we surrounded Mount Seir many days. And Yehovah spoke to me, saying, You all have surrounded this mountain long enough, turn yourselves northward. And you command the people, saying, You all are to pass through the coast of your brothers the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you, therefore be very careful. Do not strive with them, for I will not give to you of their land, no, not so much as a foot length, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau for a possession. You all shall buy meat of them for money, that you all may eat, and you all shall also buy water of them for money, that you all may drink. For Yehovah your God has blessed you in all the works of your hand, he knows you're walking through this great wilderness, these 40 years Yehovah your God has been with you, you have lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brothers the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath, and from Ezion-Gaber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And Yehovah said to me, Do not besiege the Moabites, or contend with them in battle, for I will not give you of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar to the children of Lot for a possession. The Emims dwelt in it in times past, a people great and many and tall, as the Anakims. Which also were accounted giants, as the Anakims, but the Moabites call them Emims. The Horims also dwelt in Seir before then, but the children of Esau succeeded them, when they had destroyed them from before them, and dwelt there instead, as Israel did to the land of his possession, which Yehovah gave to them. Now rise up, I said, and get yourselves over the brook Zered. And we went over the brook Zered. And the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea, until we had come over the brook Zered, was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from among the camp, as Yehovah swore to them. For indeed the hand of Yehovah was against them, to destroy them from among the camp, until they were consumed. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, that Yehovah spoke to me, saying, You are to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day. And when you come near over against the children of Ammon, do not besiege them, or strive with them, for I will not give to you any possession of the land of the children of Ammon, because I have given it to the children of Lot for a possession. That also was accounted a land of giants, giants dwelt in it in old times, and the Ammonites call them Zamzummims. A people great and many and tall, as the Anakims, but Yehovah destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them, and dwelt there instead. As he did to the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the Horims from before them, and they succeeded them, and dwelt there instead even to this day. And the Avims which dwelt in Hazarim, even to Azot, the Caphtorims, which came out outside of Caphtor, destroyed them, and dwelt there instead. All of you rise up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Look, I have given into your hand Sihon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land, begin to possess it, and contend with him in battle. This day will I begin to put the dread of you and the fear of you upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of you, and shall tremble, and be in anguish because of you. And I sent messengers out of the wilderness of Kedemoth to Sihon king of Heshbon with words of peace, saying, Let me pass through your land, I will go along by the highway, I will neither turn to the right hand or to the left. You shall sell me meat for money, that I may eat, and give me water for money, that I may drink, only I will pass through on my feet. As the children of Esau which dwell in Seir, and the Moabites which dwell in Ar, did to me until I shall pass over the Jordan into the land which Yehovah our God gives us. But Sihon king of Heshbon would not let us pass by him, for Yehovah your God hardened his spirit, and made his heart strong, that he might deliver him into your hand, as appears this day. And Yehovah said to me, Look, I have begun to give Sihon and his land before you, begin to possess, that you may inherit his land. Then Sihon came out against us, him and all his people, to fight at Hahaz. And Yehovah our God delivered him before us, and we struck him, and his sons, and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time, and utterly destroyed the men, and the women, and the little ones, of every city, we left none to remain. Only the cattle we took to ourselves, and the plunder of the cities which we took. From Aroer, which is by the bank of the river of Arnon, and from the city that is by the river, even to Gilead, there was not one city too strong for us, Yehovah our God delivered all to us. Only to the land of the children of Ammon you did not come, or to any place of the river Jabbok, or to the cities in the mountains, or to whatever Yehovah our God commanded us. Then we turned, and went up the way to Bashan, and Og the king of Bashan came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. And Yehovah said to me, Do not fear him, for I will deliver him, and all his people, and his land, into your hand, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon king of the Amorites, which dwelt at Heshbon. So Yehovah our God also delivered into our hands Og, the king of Bashan, and all his people, and we struck him until none was left remaining to him. And we took all his cities at that time, there was not a city which we did not take from them, 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls, gates, and bars, beside many great unwalled towns. And we utterly destroyed them, as we did to Sihon king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children, of every city. But all the cattle, and the plunder of the cities, we took to ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the 2 kings of the Amorites the land that was on this side of the Jordan, from the river of Arnon to Mount Hermon, which Hermon the Sidonians call Syrian, and the Amorites call it Chenir. All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, to Salcah and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og king of Bashan remained of the remnant of giants. Look, his bed was a bed of iron, is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length of it, and 4 cubits the width of it, after the cubit of a man. And this land, which we possessed at that time, from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, and half Mount Gilead, and the cities on it, I gave to the Reubenites and to the Gadites. And the rest of Gilead, and all Bashan, being the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh, all the region of Argob, with all Bashan, which was called the land of giants. Jair the son of Manasseh took all the country of Argob to the coasts of Geshuri and Machati, and called them after his own name, Bashan Havoth-Jair, to this day. And I gave Gilead to Machir. And to the Reubenites and to the Gadites I gave from Gilead even to the river Arnon half the valley, and the border even to the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon. The plain also, and the Jordan, and the coast on it, from Chinnereth even to the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, under Ashdoth Pisgah eastward. And I commanded you at that time, saying, Yehovah your God has given you this land to possess it, you all shall pass over armed before your brothers the children of Israel, all that are noble sons. But your wives, and your little ones, and your cattle, for I know that you all have many cattle, shall remain in your cities which I have given you. Until Yehovah has given rest to your brothers, as well as to you, and until they also possess the land which Yehovah your God has given them beyond the Jordan, and then shall you all return every man to his possession, which I have given you. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that Yehovah your God has done to these 2 kings, so shall Yehovah do to all the kingdoms of whoever you pass. You all shall not fear them, for Yehovah your God he shall fight for you. And I made supplication to Yehovah at that time, saying, O Lord Yehovah, you have begun to show your servant your greatness, and your mighty hand, for what God is there in heaven or in earth, that can do according to your works, and according to your might? Now, let me go over, and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan, that goodly mountain, and Lebanon. But Yehovah was angry with me for your sakes, and would not hear me, and Yehovah said to me, Let it be enough from you, speak no more to me of this matter. Get yourself up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and look at it with your eyes, for you shall not go over this Jordan. But charge Joshua, and encourage him, and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you shall see. So we dwelt in the valley over against Beth Peor. Now therefore listen, O Israel, to the statutes and to the judgments, which I teach you, for to do them, that you all may live, and go in and possess the land which Yehovah God of your fathers gives you. You all shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you all take away from it, that you all may keep the commandments of Yehovah your God which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yehovah did because of Baal Peor, for all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yehovah your God has destroyed them from among you. But you all that did cling to Yehovah your God are alive every one of you this day. Look, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yehovah my God commanded me, that you all should do so in the land where you all go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who has God so near to them, as Yehovah our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only beware to yourself, and keep your soul diligently, or else you forget the things which your eyes have seen, or else they depart from your heart all the days of your life, but teach them to your sons, and your sons' sons. Especially the day that you stood before Yehovah your God in Horeb, when Yehovah said to me, Gather to me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you all came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the middle of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yehovah spoke to you out of the middle of the fire. You all heard the voice of the words, but saw no form, only you all heard a voice. And he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tablets of stone. And Yehovah commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you all might do them in the land where you all go over to possess it. Take good guard to yourselves, for you all did not see any form on the day that Yehovah spoke to you in Horeb out of the middle of the fire. Or else you all corrupt yourselves, and make yourselves a graven image, the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. Or else you lift up your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even all the host of heaven, should be driven to worship them, and serve them, which Yehovah your God has divided all nations under the whole heaven. But Yehovah has taken you, and brought you out outside of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance, as you all are this day. Furthermore Yehovah was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over the Jordan, and that I should not go into that good land, which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance. But I must die in this land, I must not go over Jordan, but you all shall go over, and possess that good land. Beware to yourselves, or else you all forget the covenant of Yehovah your God, which he made with you, and make yourselves a graven image, or the likeness of anything, which Yehovah your God has forbidden you. For Yehovah your God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. When you shall bear children, and children's children, and you all shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image, or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yehovah your God, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you all shall soon utterly perish from off the land where you all go to over the Jordan to possess it, you all shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Yehovah shall scatter you among the nations, and you all shall be left few in number among the Gentiles, where Yehovah shall lead you. And there you all shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, or hear, or eat, or smell. But if from there you shall seek Yehovah your God, you shall find him, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in tribulation, and all these things have come upon you, even in the latter days, if you turn to Yehovah your God, and shall be obedient to his voice. For Yehovah your God is a merciful God. He will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that God created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven to the other, whether there has been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Did ever a people hear the voice of God speaking out of the middle of the fire, as you have heard, and live? Or has God tried to go and take himself a nation from the middle of another nation, by tests, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yehovah your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? To you it was shown, that you might know that Yehovah he is God, there is no one else beside him. Out of heaven he made you to hear his voice, that he might instruct you, and upon earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the middle of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before you greater and mightier than you are, to bring you in, to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Know therefore this day, and consider it in your heart, that Yehovah he is God in heaven above, and upon the earth beneath, there is no one else. You shall keep therefore his statutes, and his commandments, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days upon the earth, which Yehovah your God gives you, always. Then Moses separated 3 cities on this side of the Jordan towards the sun rising, that the slayer might flee to there, which should kill his neighbor without knowing, and did not hate him in times past, and that fleeing to one of these cities he might live. Namely, Bezer in the wilderness, in the plain country, of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead, of the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan, of the Manassites. And this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which Moses spoke to the children of Israel, after they came out outside of Egypt. On this side of the Jordan, in the valley over against Beth-peor, in the land of Sihon king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel struck, after they had come out outside of Egypt. And they possessed his land, and the land of Og king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, which were on this side of the Jordan towards the sun rising. From Aroer, which is by the bank of the river Arnon, even to Mount Zion, which is Hermon. And all the plain on this side of the Jordan eastward, even to the sea of the plain, under the springs of Pisgah. And Moses called all Israel, and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you all may learn them, and keep, and do them. Yehovah our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yehovah did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yehovah talked with you face to face in the mountain out of the middle of the fire. I stood between Yehovah and you at that time, to show you the word of Yehovah, for you all were afraid on account of the fire, and did not go up into the mountain saying, I am Yehovah your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them, for I Yehovah your God am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yehovah your God in vain, for Yehovah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as Yehovah your God has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor, and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yehovah your God, in it you shall not do any work, you, or your son, or your daughter, or your manservant, or your maidservant, or your ox, or your male donkey, or any of your cattle, or your stranger that is within your gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, and that Yehovah your God brought you outside there through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm, therefore Yehovah your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as Yehovah your God has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with you, in the land which Yehovah your God gave you. You shall not kill. Neither shall you commit adultery. Neither shall you steal. Neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. Neither shall you desire your neighbor's wife, neither shall you covet your neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, or his male donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yehovah spoke to all your assembly in the mountain out of the middle of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tablets of stone, and delivered them to me. And it came to pass, when you all heard the voice out of the middle of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that you all came near to me, even all the heads of your tribes, and your elders. And you all said, Look, Yehovah our God has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the middle of the fire. We have seen this day that God does talk with man, and he lives. Now therefore why should we die? For this great fire will consume us, if we hear the voice of Yehovah our God any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh, that has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the middle of the fire, as we have, and lived? You go near, and hear all that Yehovah our God shall say, and you speak to us all that Yehovah our God shall speak to you, and we will hear it, and do it. And Yehovah heard the voice of your words, when you all spoke to me, and Yehovah said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you, they have well said all that they have spoken. Oh that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me, and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them, and with their children always. Go say to them, Get yourselves into your tents again. But as for you, you stand here by me, and I will speak to you all the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which you shall teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. You all shall observe to do therefore as Yehovah your God has commanded you, you all shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You all shall walk in all the ways which Yehovah your God has commanded you, that you all may live, and that it may be well with you, and that you all may prolong your days in the land which you all shall possess. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which Yehovah your God commanded to teach you, that you all might do them in the land which you all go to possess. That you might fear Yehovah your God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, and your son, and your son's son, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. Therefore hear, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you all may increase mightily, as Yehovah God of your fathers has promised you, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yehovah our God is one Yehovah. And you shall love Yehovah your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words, which I command you this day, shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as marks between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house, and on your gates. And it shall be, when Yehovah your God shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you great and good cities, which you did not build, and houses full of all good things, which you did not fill, and wells dug, which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees, which you did not plant, when you shall have eaten and be full. Then beware, or else you forget Yehovah, which brought you out outside of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. You shall fear Yehovah your God, and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You all shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you. For Yehovah your God is a jealous God among you, or else the anger of Yehovah your God is kindled against you, and destroy you from off the face of the earth. You all shall not tempt Yehovah your God, as you all tempted him in Massah. You all shall diligently keep the commandments of Yehovah your God, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he has commanded you. And you shall do that which is right and good in the sight of Yehovah, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the good land which Yehovah swore to your fathers, to cast out all your enemies from before you, as Yehovah has spoken. And when your son asks you in time to come, saying, What are the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which Yehovah our God has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, We were Pharaoh's menservants in Egypt, and Yehovah brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And Yehovah showed signs and wonders, great and sore, upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household, before our eyes. And he brought us out from there, that he might bring us in, to give us the land which he swore to our fathers. And Yehovah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yehovah our God, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness, if we observe to do all these commandments before Yehovah our God, as he has commanded us. When Yehovah your God shall bring you into the land which you go to possess, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yehovah your God shall deliver them before you, you shall strike them, and utterly destroy them, you shall make no covenant with them, or show mercy to them. Neither shall you make marriages with them, you shall not give your daughter to his son, nor his daughter shall you take to your son. For they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other gods, so will the anger of Yehovah be kindled against you, and destroy you suddenly. But so shall you all deal with them, you all shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their Asherah poles, and burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people to Yehovah your God. Yehovah your God has chosen you to be a special treasure of people to himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yehovah did not set his love upon you, or choose you, because all of you were more in number than any people, for you all were the fewest of all people. But because Yehovah loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn to your fathers, Yehovah has brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yehovah your God, he is God, the faithful God, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. And repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him, he will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments, and the statutes, and the judgments, which I command you this day, to do them. Therefore it shall come to pass, if you all listen to these judgments, and keep, and do them, that Yehovah your God shall keep to you the covenant and the mercy which he swore to your fathers. And he will love you, and bless you, and multiply you, he will also bless the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your land, your corn, and your wine, and your oil, the increase of your cows, and the flocks of your sheep, in the land which he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all people, there shall not be male or female barren among you, or among your cattle. And Yehovah will take away from you all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which you knew, upon you, but will lay them upon all them that hate you. And you shall consume all the people which Yehovah your God shall deliver you, your eye shall have no pity upon them, neither shall you serve their gods, for that will be a snare to you. If you shall say in your heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them, but shall well remember what Yehovah your God did to Pharaoh, and to all Egypt. The great tests which your eyes saw, and the signs, and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretched out arm, by which Yehovah your God brought you out, so shall Yehovah your God do to all the people of whom you are afraid. Also Yehovah your God will send the hornet among them, until they that are left, and hide themselves from you, are destroyed. You shall not be afraid of them, for Yehovah your God is among you, a mighty God and dreadful. And Yehovah your God will put out those nations before you little by little, you may not consume them at once, or else the beasts of the field increase upon you. But Yehovah your God shall deliver them to you, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction, until they are destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into your hand, and you shall destroy their name from under heaven, there shall no man be able to stand before you, until you have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods you shall all burn with fire, you shall not desire the silver or gold that is on them, or take it to yourselves, or else you are snared in it, for it is an abomination to Yehovah your God. Neither shall you bring an abomination into your house, or else you will be a cursed thing like it, but you shall utterly detest it, and you shall utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. All the commandments which I command you this day shall you all observe to do, that you all may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yehovah swore to your fathers. And you shall remember all the way which Yehovah your God led you these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble you, and to test you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments, or not. And he humbled you, and suffered you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, neither did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yehovah does man live. Your clothing did not grow old upon you, neither did your foot swell, these 40 years. You shall also consider in your heart, that, as a man disciplines his son, so Yehovah your God disciplined you. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of Yehovah your God, to walk in his ways, and to fear him. For Yehovah your God brings you into a good land, a land of rivers of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills. A land of wheat, and barley, and vines, and fig trees, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil, and honey. A land which you shall eat bread without scarceness, you shall not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig brass. When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless Yehovah your God for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you do not forget Yehovah your God, in not keeping his commandments, and his judgments, and his statutes, which I command you this day. Or else when you have eaten and are full, and have built pleasant houses, and dwelt in it. And when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied. Then your heart is lifted up, and you forget Yehovah your God, which brought you out outside of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, which were fiery serpents, and scorpions, and drought, where there was no water, who brought you out water out of the rock of flint. Who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, that he might humble you, and that he might test you, to do you good at your latter end. And you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand has made me this wealth. But you shall remember Yehovah your God, for it is he that gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if you do at all forget Yehovah your God, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day that you all shall surely perish. As the nations which Yehovah destroyed before your face, so shall you all perish, because you all would not be obedient to the voice of Yehovah your God. Hear, O Israel, you are to pass over the Jordan this day, to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fenced up to heaven. A people great and tall, the children of the Anakims, whom you know, and of whom you have heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak. Understand therefore this day, that Yehovah your God is he who goes over before you, as a consuming fire he shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before your face, so shall you drive them out, and destroy them quickly, as Yehovah has said to you. Do not speak in your heart, after that Yehovah your God has cast them out from before you, saying, for my righteousness Yehovah has brought me in to possess this land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yehovah does drive them out from before you. Not for your righteousness, or for the uprightness of your heart, do you go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yehovah your God does drive them out from before you, and that he may perform the word which Yehovah swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand therefore, that Yehovah your God does not give you this good land to possess it for your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember, and do not forget, how you provoked Yehovah your God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you did depart out of the land of Egypt, until you all came to this place, you all have been rebellious against Yehovah. Also in Horeb you all provoked Yehovah to wrath, so that Yehovah was angry with you to have destroyed you. When I had gone up into the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, even the tablets of the covenant which Yehovah made with you, then I dwelt in the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, I neither did eat bread or drink water. And Yehovah delivered to me 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of God, and on them was written according to all the words, which Yehovah spoke with you in the mountain out of the middle of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights, that Yehovah gave me the 2 tablets of stone, even the tablets of the covenant. And Yehovah said to me, Arise, get yourself down quickly from here, for your people which you have brought out outside of Egypt have corrupted themselves, they have quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them, they have made themselves a molten image. Also Yehovah spoke to me, saying, I have seen this people, and look, it is a stiff-necked people. Leave me alone, that I may destroy them, and blot out their name from under heaven, and I will make of you a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I looked, and look, you all had sinned against Yehovah your God, and had made yourselves a molten calf, you all had turned aside quickly out of the way which Yehovah had commanded you. And I took the 2 tablets, and cast them out of my 2 hands, and broke them before your eyes. And I fell down before Yehovah, as at the first, 40 days and 40 nights, I did neither eat bread, or drink water, because of all your sins which you all sinned, in doing wickedly in the sight of Yehovah, to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure, by which Yehovah was angry against you to destroy you. But Yehovah listened to me at that time also. And Yehovah was very angry with Aaron so as to have destroyed him, and I prayed for Aaron also at the same time. And I took your sin, the calf which you all had made, and burned it with fire, and stamped it, and ground it very small, even until it was as small as dust, and I cast the dust on it into the river that descended out of the mountain. And at Taberah, and at Massah, and at Kibroth Hattava, you all provoked Yehovah to wrath. Likewise when Yehovah sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you, then you all rebelled against the commandment of Yehovah your God, and you all did not believe him, or listen to his voice. You all have been rebellious against Yehovah from the day that I knew you. So I fell down before Yehovah for 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yehovah had said he would destroy you. I prayed therefore to Yehovah, and said, O Lord Yehovah, do not destroy your people and your inheritance, which you have redeemed through your greatness, which you have brought out outside of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, do not look to the stubbornness of this people, or to their wickedness, or to their sin. Or else the land where you brought us out say, because Yehovah was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to kill them in the wilderness. Yet they are your people and your inheritance, which you brought out by your mighty power and by your stretched out arm. At that time Yehovah said to me, Cut yourself 2 tablets of stone like the first, and come up to me into the mountain, and make yourself an ark of wood. And I will write on the tablets the words that were in the first tablets which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and cut 2 tablets of stone like the first, and went up into the mountain, having the 2 tablets in my hand. And he wrote on the tablets, according to the first writing, the 10 commandments, which Yehovah spoke to you in the mountain out of the middle of the fire in the day of the assembly, and Yehovah gave them to me. And I turned myself and came down from the mountain, and put the tablets in the ark which I had made, and there they are, as Yehovah commanded me. And the children of Israel took their journey from Beeroth of the children of Jachin to Mosera, there Aaron died, and there he was buried, and Eleazar his son ministered in the priest's office instead. From there they journeyed to Gajota, and from Gajota to Jotbath, a land of rivers of waters. At that time Yehovah separated the tribe of Levi, to bear the ark of the covenant of Yehovah, to stand before Yehovah to minister to him, and to bless in his name, to this day. Therefore Levi has no part or inheritance with his brothers, Yehovah is his inheritance, according as Yehovah your God promised him. And I stayed in the mountain, according to the first time, 40 days and 40 nights, and Yehovah listened to me at that time also, and Yehovah would not destroy you. And Yehovah said to me, Arise, take your journey before the people, that they may go in and possess the land, which I swore to their fathers to give to them. And now, Israel, what does Yehovah your God require of you, but to fear Yehovah your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yehovah your God with all your heart and with all your soul? To keep the commandments of Yehovah, and his statutes, which I command you this day for your good. Look, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is Yehovah's your God, the earth also, with all that is in it. Only Yehovah had a delight in your fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and do not be stiff-necked any more. For Yehovah your God is God of gods, and Lord of lords, a great God, a mighty, and a dreadful, which did not regard persons, or take reward. He does execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loves the stranger, in giving them food and clothing. Therefore all of you love the stranger, for you all were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall fear Yehovah your God, him shall you serve, and to him shall you cling, and swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your God, that has done for you these great and terrible things, which your eyes have seen. Your fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons, and now Yehovah your God has made you as the stars of heaven for greatness. Therefore you shall love Yehovah your God, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments, always. And know this day all of you, for I do not speak with your children which have not known, and which have not seen the discipline of Yehovah your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles, and his acts, which he did in the middle of Egypt to Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and to all his land. And what he did to the army of Egypt, to their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how Yehovah has destroyed them to this day. And what he did to you in the wilderness, until you all came into this place. And what he did to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened its mouth, and swallowed them up, and their households, and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possession, in the middle of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of Yehovah which he did. Therefore shall you all keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that you all may be strong, and go in and possess the land, which you all go to possess it. And that you all may prolong your days in the land, which Yehovah swore to your fathers to give to them and to their seed, a land that flows with milk and honey. For the land, which you go in to possess it, is not as the land of Egypt, from where you all came out, where you sowed your seed, and watered it with your foot, as a garden of herbs. But the land, which you all go to possess it, is a land of hills and valleys, and drinks water of the rain of heaven. A land which Yehovah your God cares for, the eyes of Yehovah your God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even to the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, if you all shall listen diligently to my commandments which I command you this day, to love Yehovah your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in its due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that you may gather in your corn, and your wine, and your oil. And I will send grass in your fields for your cattle, that you may eat and be full. Beware to yourselves, that your heart is not deceived, and you all turn aside, and serve other gods, and worship them. And then Yehovah's wrath is kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there is no rain, and that the land does not yield its fruit, and or else you all perish quickly from off the good land which Yehovah gives you. Therefore shall you all lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as marks between your eyes. And you all shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates. That your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which Yehovah swore to your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if you all shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love Yehovah your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cling to him, then will Yehovah drive out all these nations from before you, and you all shall possess greater and mightier nations than yourselves. Every place whereupon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even to the furthest sea shall your coast be. There shall be no man who is able to stand before you, for Yehovah your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that you all shall tread upon, as he has said to you. Look, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing, if you all obey the commandments of Yehovah your God, which I command you this day. And a curse, if you all will not obey the commandments of Yehovah your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods, which you all have not known. And it shall come to pass, when Yehovah your God has brought you into the land where you are going to possess it, that you shall put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side of the Jordan, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwell in the desert plain over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For you all shall pass over the Jordan to go in to possess the land which Yehovah your God gives you, and you all shall possess it, and dwell in it. And you all shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. These are the statutes and judgments, which you all shall observe to do in the land, which Yehovah God of your fathers gives you to possess it, all the days that you all live upon the earth. You all shall utterly destroy all the places, which the nations which you all shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains, and upon the hills, and under every green tree. And you all shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their Asherah poles with fire, and you all shall cut down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place. You all shall not do so to Yehovah your God. But to the place which Yehovah your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even to his habitation shall you all seek, and to there you shall come. And to there you all shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there you all shall eat before Yehovah your God, and you all shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households, which Yehovah your God has blessed you. You all shall not do after all the things that we do here this day, every man whatever is right in his own eyes. For you all have not, as yet, come to the rest and to the inheritance, which Yehovah your God gives you. But when you all go over the Jordan, and dwell in the land which Yehovah your God gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you all dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yehovah your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. You shall all bring there all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which you all vow to Yehovah. And you all shall rejoice before Yehovah your God, all of you, and your sons, and your daughters, and your menservants, and your maidservants, and the Levite that is within your gates, because he has no part or inheritance with you. Beware to yourself that you do not offer your burnt offerings in every place that you see. But in the place which Yehovah shall choose in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. However, you may kill and eat flesh in all your gates, whatever your soul lusts after, according to the blessing of Yehovah your God which he has given you. The unclean and the clean may eat on it, as of the gazelle, and as of the deer. Only you all shall not eat the blood, you all shall pour it upon the earth as water. You may not eat within your gates the tithe of your corn, or of your wine, or of your oil, or the firstlings of your herds or of your flock, or any of your vows which you vow, or your freewill offerings, or heave offering of your hand. But you must eat them before Yehovah your God in the place which Yehovah your God shall choose, you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, and you shall rejoice before Yehovah your God in all that you put your hands to. Beware to yourself that you do not forsake the Levite as long as you live upon the earth. When Yehovah your God shall enlarge your border, as he has promised you, and you shall say, I will eat flesh, because your soul longs to eat flesh, you may eat flesh, whatever your soul lusts after. If the place which Yehovah your God has chosen to put his name there is too far from you, then you shall kill of your herd and of your flock, which Yehovah has given you, as I have commanded you, and you shall eat in your gates whatever your soul lusts after. Even as the gazelle and the deer are eaten, so you shall eat them, the unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Only be sure that you do not eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you may not eat the life with the flesh. You shall not eat it, you shall pour it upon the earth as water. You shall not eat it, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yehovah. Only your holy things which you have, and your vows, you shall take, and go to the place which Yehovah shall choose. And you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of Yehovah your God, and the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of Yehovah your God, and you shall eat the flesh. Observe and hear all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you always, when you do that which is good and right in the sight of Yehovah your God. When Yehovah your God shall cut off the nations from before you, which you are going to possess, and you succeed them, and dwell in their land. Beware to yourself that you are not snared by following them, after that when they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not seek after their gods, saying, How did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so to Yehovah your God, for every abomination to Yehovah, which he hates, they have done to their gods, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. Whatever things I command you, take care to do it, you shall not add to it, or diminish from it. If there arise among you a prophet, or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes to pass, of which he spoke to you, saying, Let us go after other gods, which you have not known, and let us serve them. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yehovah your God tests you, to know whether you all love Yehovah your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You all shall walk after Yehovah your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and you all shall serve him, and cling to him. And that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yehovah your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yehovah your God commanded you to walk in. So shall you put the evil away from out of you. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, which is as your own soul, entice you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which you have not known, you, or your fathers. Namely, of the gods of the people which are round about you, near to you, or far off from you, from the one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. You shall not consent to them, or listen to them, neither shall your eye pity them, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal them. But you shall surely kill them, your hand shall be first upon them to put them to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And you shall stone them with stones, that they die, because they have sought to thrust you away from Yehovah your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear, and fear, and shall not do such wickedness any more as this is among you. If you shall hear in one of your cities, which Yehovah your God has given you to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, have gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which you all have not known. Then shall you seek, and make a search, and ask diligently, and look, if it is true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is made among you. You shall surely strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is in it, and the cattle on it, with the edge of the sword. And you shall gather all the plunder of it into the middle of the street on it, and shall burn with fire the city, and all the plunder on it every bit of it, for Yehovah your God, and it shall be a heap always, it shall not be built again. And nothing there shall cling of the cursed thing to your hand, that Yehovah may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have compassion upon you, and multiply you, as he has sworn to your fathers. When you shall listen to the voice of Yehovah your God, to keep all his commandments which I command you this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yehovah your God. You all are the children of Yehovah your God, you all shall not cut yourselves, or make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For you are a holy people to Yehovah your God, and Yehovah has chosen you to be a special treasure of people to himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. You shall not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which you all shall eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the deer, and the gazelle, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the antelope, and the wild ox, and the chamois. And every beast that parts the hoof, and divides the cleft into two hoofs, and chews the cud among the beasts, that you all shall eat. Nevertheless these you all shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the split hoof, as the camel, and the hare, and the rock badger, for they chew the cud, but do not divide the hoof, therefore they are unclean to you. And the swine, because it divides the hoof, yet does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you, you all shall not eat of their flesh, or touch their dead carcass. These you all shall eat of all that are in the waters, all that have fins and scales shall you all eat. And whatever does not have fins and scales you all may not eat, it is unclean to you. Of all clean birds you all shall eat. But these are they of which you all shall not eat, the eagle, and the bearded vulture, and the buzzard, and the hawk, and the kite, and the vulture after its kind, and every raven after its kind, and the owl, and the night hawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after its kind, the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after its kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. And every creeping thing that flies is unclean to you, they shall not be eaten. But of all clean fowls you all may eat. You all shall not eat of anything that dies of itself, you shall give it to the stranger that is in your gates, that he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner, for you are a holy people to Yehovah your God. You shall not boil a kid in his mother's milk. You shall truly tithe all the increase of your seed, that the field brings out year by year. And you shall eat before Yehovah your God, in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of your corn, of your wine, and of your oil, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks, that you may learn to fear Yehovah your God always. And if the way is too long for you, so that you are not able to carry it, or if the place is too far from you, which Yehovah your God shall choose to set his name there, when Yehovah your God has blessed you, then shall you turn it into money, and bind up the money in your hand, and shall go to the place which Yehovah your God shall choose. And you shall give that money for whatever your soul lusts after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatever your soul desires, and you shall eat there before Yehovah your God, and you shall rejoice, you, and your household. And the Levite that is within your gates, you shall not forsake him, for he has no part or inheritance with you. At the end of 3 years you shall bring out all the tithe of your increase the same year, and shall lay it up within your gates. And the Levite, because he has no part or inheritance with you, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within your gates, shall come, and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yehovah your God may bless you in all the work of your hand which you do. At the end of every 7 years you shall make a release. And this is the word of the release: every creditor that lent to his neighbor shall release it, he shall not exact it of his neighbor, or of his brother, because it is called Yehovah's release. Of a foreigner you may exact it again, but that which is yours with your brother your hand shall release. Except when there shall be no poor among you, for Yehovah shall greatly bless you in the land which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance to possess it. Only if you carefully listen to the voice of Yehovah your God, to observe to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For Yehovah your God blesses you, as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow, and you shall reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over you. If there is among you a poor man of one of your brothers within any of your gates in your land which Yehovah your God gives you, you shall not harden your heart, or shut your hand from your poor brother. But you shall open your hand wide to him, and shall surely lend him sufficient for his need, in that which he wanted. Beware that there is not a thought in your wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and your eye is evil against your poor brother, and you give him nothing, and he cry to Yehovah against you, and it is sin to you. You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give to him, because that for this thing Yehovah your God shall bless you in all your works, and in all that you put your hand to. For the poor shall never cease out of the land, therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide to your brother, to your poor, and to your needy, in your land. And if your brother, a Hebrew man, or a Hebrew woman, is sold to you, and serves you 6 years, then in the 7th year you shall let them go free from you. And when you sent them out free from you, you shall not let them go away empty. You shall furnish them liberally out of your flock, and out of your threshing floor, and out of your winepress, of that which Yehovah your God has blessed you, you shall give to them. And you shall remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, and Yehovah your God redeemed you, therefore I command you this thing today. And it shall be, if he say to you, I will not go away from you, because he loves you and your house, because he is well with you. Then you shall take a boring instrument, and thrust it through his ear to the door, and he shall be your servant always. And also to your maidservant you shall do likewise. It shall not seem hard to you, when you send him away free from you, for he has been worth a double hired servant to you, in serving you 6 years, and Yehovah your God shall bless you in all that you do. All the firstling males that come of your herd and of your flock you shall sanctify to Yehovah your God. You shall do no work with the firstling of your bullock, or shear the firstling of your sheep. You shall eat it before Yehovah your God year by year in the place which Yehovah shall choose, you and your household. And if there is any blemish in it, as if it is lame, or blind, or has any ill blemish, you shall not sacrifice it to Yehovah your God. You shall eat it within your gates, the unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the gazelle, and as the deer. Only you shall not eat the blood on it, you shall pour it upon the ground as water. Observe the month of Aviv, and keep the Passover to Yehovah your God, for in the month of Aviv Yehovah your God brought you out outside of Egypt by night. You shall therefore sacrifice the Passover to Yehovah your God, of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yehovah shall choose to place his name there. You shall eat no leavened bread with it, 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread with it, even the bread of affliction, for you came out outside of the land of Egypt quickly, that you may remember the day when you came out outside of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with you in all your coasts 7 days, neither shall there be anything of the flesh, which you sacrifice the first day at evening, remain all night until the morning. You may not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates, which Yehovah your God gives you. But at the place which Yehovah your God shall choose to place his name in, there you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came out outside of Egypt. And you shall roast and eat it in the place which Yehovah your God shall choose, and you shall turn in the morning, and go to your tents. 6 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Yehovah your God, you shall do no work in it. 7 weeks shall you number to you, begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as you begin to put the sickle to the corn. And you shall keep the feast of weeks to Yehovah your God with a tribute of a freewill offering of your hand, which you shall give to Yehovah your God, according as Yehovah your God has blessed you. And you shall rejoice before Yehovah your God, you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, that are among you, in the place which Yehovah your God has chosen to place his name there. And you shall remember that you were a servant in Egypt, and you shall observe and do these statutes. You shall observe the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days, after that you have gathered in your corn and your wine. And you shall rejoice in your feast, you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, that are within your gates. 7 days shall you keep a solemn feast to Yehovah your God in the place which Yehovah shall choose, because Yehovah your God shall bless you in all your increase, and in all the works of your hands, therefore you shall surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all your males appear before Yehovah your God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yehovah empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yehovah your God which he has given you. You shall make judges and officers in all your gates, which Yehovah your God gives you, throughout your tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. You shall not pervert judgment, you shall not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift does blind the eyes of the wise, and pervert the words of the righteous. That which is altogether just shall you follow, that you may live, and inherit the land which Yehovah your God gives you. You shall not plant yourself an Asherah pole of any trees near to the altar of Yehovah your God, which you shall make yourself. Neither shall you set yourselves up any image, which Yehovah your God hates. You shall not sacrifice to Yehovah your God any bullock, or sheep, which is blemished, or any evil thing, for that is an abomination to Yehovah your God. If there is found among you, within any of your gates which Yehovah your God gives you, man or woman, that has done wickedness in the sight of Yehovah your God, in transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded. And it is told to you, and you have heard of it, and inquired diligently, and look, it is true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is done in Israel. Then you shall bring out that man or that woman, which has committed that wicked thing, to your gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones, till they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or 3 witnesses, shall that person that is worthy of death be put to death, but at the mouth of 1 witness that person shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon that person to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. So you shall put the evil away from among you. If there arises a thing too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being things of controversy within your gates, then shall you arise, and get yourself up into the place which Yehovah your God shall choose. And you shall come to the priests the Levites, and to the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show you the sentence of judgment. And you shall do according to the sentence, which they of that place which Yehovah shall choose shall show you, and you shall observe to do according to all that they inform you. According to the sentence of the law which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you, you shall do, you shall not decline from the sentence which they shall show you, to the right hand, or to the left. And the man that will act proudly, and will not listen to the priest that stands to minister there before Yehovah your God, or to the judge, even that man shall die, and you shall put away the evil from Israel. And all the people shall hear, and fear, and shall act proudly no more. When you have come to the land which Yehovah your God gives you, and shall possess it, and shall dwell in it, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. You shall surely set him king over you, whom Yehovah your God shall choose. You shall set a king over you, one from among your brothers. You may not set a stranger over you, which is not your brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, or cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses, forasmuch as Yehovah has said to you, all of you shall from now on return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart does not turn away, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sits upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write himself a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read in it all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yehovah his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes, to do them. That his heart is not lifted up above his brothers, and that he does not turn aside from the commandment, to the right hand, or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he, and his children, in the middle of Israel. The priests the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi, shall have no part or inheritance with Israel, they shall eat the offerings of Yehovah made by fire, and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among their brothers, Yehovah is their inheritance, as he has said to them. And this shall be the priest's ordinance from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it is an ox or sheep, and they shall give to the priest the shoulder, and the 2 jaws, and the stomach. The first fruits also of your corn, of your wine, and of your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep, shall you give him. For Yehovah your God has chosen him out of all your tribes, to stand to minister in the name of Yehovah, him and his sons always. And if a Levite comes from any of your gates out of all Israel, where he resided, and comes with all the desire of his mind to the place which Yehovah shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of Yehovah his God, as all his brothers the Levites do, which stand there before Yehovah. They shall have the same portions to eat, beside that which comes of the sales of his father. When you have come into the land which Yehovah your God gives you, you shall not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination to Yehovah, and because of these abominations Yehovah your God does drive them out from before you. You shall be perfect with Yehovah your God. For these nations, which you shall possess, listen to observers of times, and to diviners, but as for you, Yehovah your God has not given you so to do. Yehovah your God will raise up to you a prophet from the middle of you, of your brothers, like unto me, to him you all shall listen. According to all that you desired of Yehovah your God in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, Do not let me hear again the voice of Yehovah my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I do not die. And Yehovah said to me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brothers, like unto you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass, that whoever will not listen to my words which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet, who shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, How shall we know the word which Yehovah has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Yehovah, if the thing does not follow, or come to pass, that is the thing which Yehovah has not spoken, but the prophet has spoken it proudly, you shall not be afraid of him. When Yehovah your God has cut off the nations, whose land Yehovah your God gives you, and you succeed them, and dwell in their cities, and in their houses, you shall separate 3 cities for yourselves in the middle of your land, which Yehovah your God gives you to possess it. You shall prepare yourselves a way, and divide the coasts of your land, which Yehovah your God gives you to inherit, into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee to there. And this is the case of the slayer, which shall flee to there, that he may live, whoever kills his neighbor ignorantly, whom he did not hate in times past. As when a man goes into the woods with his neighbor to cut wood, and his hand brings a stroke with the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the wood, and is found upon his neighbor, that he dies, he shall flee to one of those cities, and live. Or else the avenger of the blood pursue the slayer, while his heart is hot, and overtakes him, because the way is long, and kill him, although he was not worthy of death, because he did not hate him in times past. Therefore I command you, saying, You shall separate 3 cities for yourselves. And if Yehovah your God enlarges your coast, as he has sworn to your fathers, and gives you all the land which he promised to give to your fathers, if you shall keep all these commandments to do them, which I command you this day, to love Yehovah your God, and to walk always in his ways, then shall you add 3 cities more for yourselves, beside these 3. That innocent blood is not shed in your land, which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance, and so blood is upon you. But if any man hates his neighbor, and lies in wait for him, and rises up against him, and strikes him mortally that he dies, and flees into one of these cities, then the elders of his city shall send and take him there, and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, that he may die. Your eye shall not pity him, but you shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, that it may go well with you. You shall not remove your neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in your inheritance, which you shall inherit in the land that Yehovah your God gives you to possess it. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin, in any sin that he sins, at the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the word be established. If a false witness rises up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men, between whom the controversy is, shall stand before Yehovah, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent search, and look, if the witness is a false witness, and has testified falsely against his brother. Then you shall all do to him, as he had thought to have done to his brother, so shall you put the evil away from among you. And those which remain shall hear, and fear, and shall no more do again commit any such evil among you. And your eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. When you go out to battle against your enemies, and see horses and chariots and a people more than you, do not be afraid of them, for Yehovah your God is with you, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when you all have come near to the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak to the people. And shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, you all approach this day to battle against your enemies, do not let your hearts faint, do not fear, and do not tremble, neither any of you be terrified because of them. For Yehovah your God is he that goes with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak to the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new house, and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, or else he dies in the battle, and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that has planted a vineyard, and has not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return to his house, or else he dies in the battle, and another man eats of it. And what man is there that has become engaged to a wife, and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, or else he dies in the battle, and another man takes her. And the officers shall speak further to the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return to his house, or else his brother's hearts faint as well as his heart. And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking to the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When you come near to a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace to it. And it shall be, if it makes to you the answer of peace, and opens to you, then it shall be, that all the people that are found in it shall be forced laborers to you, and they shall serve you. And if it will make no peace with you, but will make war against you, then you shall besiege it. And when Yehovah your God has delivered it into your hands, you shall strike every male of it with the edge of the sword. But the women, and the little ones, and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the plunder of it, shall you take to yourself, and you shall eat the plunder of your enemies, which Yehovah your God has given you. So shall you do to all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which Yehovah your God does give you for an inheritance. You shall not save anything alive that breathes. But you shall utterly destroy them, namely, the Hittites, and the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as Yehovah your God has commanded you. That they do not teach you to do after all their abominations, which they have done to their gods, so should you all sin against Yehovah your God. When you shall besiege a city a long time, in making war against it to take it, you shall not destroy the trees on it by forcing an axe against them, for you may eat of them, and you shall not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which you know that they are not trees for food, you shall destroy and cut them down, and you shall build siege works against the city that makes war with you, until it is subdued. If someone is found killed in the land which Yehovah your God gives you to possess it, lying in the field, and it is not known who has killed him, then your elders and your judges shall come out, and they shall measure to the cities which are round about him that is killed. And it shall be, that the city which is next to the killed man, even the elders of that city shall take a heifer, which has not been worked with, and which has not drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer to a rough valley, which is neither worked nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the priests the sons of Levi shall come near, for them Yehovah your God has chosen to minister to him, and to bless in the name of Yehovah, and by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. And all the elders of that city, that are next to the killed man, shall wash their hands over the heifer that is beheaded in the valley. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Yehovah, to your people Israel, whom you have redeemed, and do not lay innocent blood to your people of Israel's charge. And the blood shall be forgiven them. So shall you put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yehovah. When you go out to war against your enemies, and Yehovah your God has delivered them into your hands, and you have taken them captive. And see among the captives a beautiful woman, and have a desire towards her, that you would have her to be your wife. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head, and fashion her nails. And she shall put the clothing of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in your house, and cry for her father and her mother for a full month, and after that you shall go into her, and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. And it shall be, if you have no delight in her, then you shall let her go where she wills, but you shall not sell her at all for money, you shall not make merchandise of her, because you have humbled her. If a man has 2 wives, one beloved, and another hated, and they have borne to him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he makes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the son of the hated for the firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he has, for he is the beginning of his strength, the right of the firstborn is his. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, who will not obey the voice of his father, or the voice of his mother, and that, when they have chastened him, will not listen to them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out to the elders of his city, and to the gate of his place. And they shall say to the elders of his city, This our son is stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey our voice, he is a glutton, and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he dies, so shall you put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear, and fear. And if a man has committed a sin worthy of death, and he is to be put to death, and you hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but you shall surely bury him that day, for he that is hung is accursed of God, that your land is not defiled, which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance. You shall not see your brother's ox or his sheep go astray, and hide yourself from them, you shall in any case bring them to your brother again. And if your brother is not near to you, or if you do not know him, then you shall bring it to your own house, and it shall be with you until your brother seeks after it, and you shall restore it to him again. Therefore you shall do with his male donkey, and so shall you do with his clothing, and with all lost things of your brothers, which he has lost, and you have found, shall you do likewise, you may not hide yourself. You shall not see your brother's male donkey or his ox fall down by the way, and hide yourself from them, you shall surely help him to lift them up again. The woman shall not wear that which pertains to a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination to Yehovah your God. If a bird's nest happens to be before you in the way in any tree, or on the ground, whether they are young ones, or eggs, and the mother sitting upon the young, or upon the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. But you shall in any time let the mother go, and take the young to you, that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days. When you build a new house, then you shall make a parapet for your roof, that you do not bring blood upon your house, if any man falls from there. You shall not sow your vineyard with different seeds, or else the fruit of your seed which you have sown, and the fruit of your vineyard, is defiled. You shall not plow with an ox and a male donkey together. You shall not wear a garment of different sorts, as of woolen and linen together. You shall make you fringes upon the 4 quarters of your clothing, which you cover yourself. If any man takes a wife, and goes into her, and hates her, and gives an occasions of speech against her, and brings up an evil name upon her, and says, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not to be a virgin. Then shall the father of the young woman, and her mother, take and bring out the tokens of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city in the gate. And the young woman's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man to be a wife, and he hates her. And, look, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and discipline him. And they shall fine him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them to the father of the young woman, because he has brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife, he may not put her away all his days. But if this thing is true, and the tokens of virginity are not found for the young woman, then they shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones so that she dies, because she has done foolishness in Israel, to play the prostitute in her father's house, so shall you put evil away from among you. If a man is found lying with a woman married to a husband, then both of them shall die, both the man that lay with the woman, and the woman, so shall you put away evil from Israel. If a young woman that is a virgin is engaged to a husband, and a man finds her in the city, and lies with her, Then you all shall bring them both out to the gate of that city, and all of you shall stone them with stones that they die, the young woman, because she did not cry out, being in the city, and the man, because he has humbled his neighbor's wife, so you shall put away evil from among you. But if a man finds an engaged young woman in the field, and the man forces her, and lies with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. But to the young woman you shall do nothing, there is in the young woman no sin worthy of death, for as when a man rises against his neighbor, and kills him, even so is this thing. For he found her in the field, and the engaged young woman cried out, and there was none to save her. If a man finds a young woman that is a virgin, which is not engaged, and lays hold on her, and lies with her, and they are found, then the man that lay with her shall give to the young woman's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her, he may not put her away all his days. A man shall not take his father's wife, or uncover his father's garment corner. He that is wounded, crushed, or has his male member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of Yehovah. An illegitimate person shall not enter into the congregation of Yehovah, even to his 10th generation he shall not enter into the congregation of Yehovah. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of Yehovah, even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Yehovah always. Because they did not met you with bread and with water in the way, when you all came out outside of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor of Pether of Mesopotamia, to curse you. Nevertheless Yehovah your God would not listen to Balaam, but Yehovah your God turned the curse into a blessing to you, because Yehovah your God loved you. You shall not seek their peace or their prosperity all your days always. You shall not detest an Edomite, for he is your brother, you shall not detest an Egyptian, because you were a stranger in his land. The children that are born of them shall enter into the congregation of Yehovah in their 3rd generation. When the army goes out against your enemies, then keep yourselves from every wicked thing. If there is among you any man, that is not clean by reason of uncleanness that happens to him by night, then he shall go outside out of the camp, he shall not come within the camp. But it shall be, when evening comes, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again. You shall have a place also outside the camp, where you shall go out outside. And you shall have a paddle on your weapon, and it shall be, when you sit yourself outside, you shall dig with it, and shall turn back and cover that which comes from you. For Yehovah your God walks in the middle of your camp, to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you, therefore shall your camp be holy, that he sees no unclean thing in you, and turn away from you. You shall not deliver to his master the servant which has escaped from his master to you. He shall dwell with you, even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of your gates, where it is pleasant to him, you shall not oppress him. There shall be no prostitute of the daughters of Israel, or a male prostitute of the sons of Israel. You shall not bring the hire of a prostitute, or the price of a male prostitute, into the house of Yehovah your God for any vow, for even both these are abominations to Yehovah your God. You shall not lend for interest to your brother, interest of money, interest of food, interest of anything that is lent for interest. To a stranger you may lend for interest, but to your brother you shall not lend for interest, that Yehovah your God may bless you in all that you set your hand to in the land where you go to possess it. When you shall vow a vow to Yehovah your God, you shall not be slack to pay it, for Yehovah your God will surely require it of you, and it would be sin in you. But if you shall cease to vow, it shall be no sin in you. That which is gone out of your lips you shall keep and perform, even a freewill offering, according as you have vowed to Yehovah your God, which you have promised with your mouth. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, then you may eat grapes of your fill at your own pleasure, but you shall not put any in your vessel. When you come into the standing corn of your neighbor, then you may pluck the ears with your hand, but you shall not move a sickle to your neighbor's standing corn. When a man has taken a wife, and married her, and it comes to pass that she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And when she has departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the following husband hates her, and writes her a bill of divorcement, and gives it in her hand, and sends her out of his house, or if the following husband dies, which took her to be his wife, her first husband, who sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife, after that she is defiled, for that is an abomination before Yehovah, and you shall not cause the land to sin, which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance. When a man has taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business, but he shall be free at home for 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife which he has taken. No man shall take the lower or the upper millstone to pledge, for he takes a man's life to pledge. If a man is found stealing any of his brothers of the children of Israel, and makes merchandise of him, or sells him, then that thief shall die, and you shall put evil away from among you. Beware in the plague of leprosy, that you observe diligently, and do according to all that the priests the Levites shall teach you, as I commanded them, so you all shall observe to do. Remember what Yehovah your God did to Miriam by the way, after that all of you had come out outside of Egypt. When you do lend to your brother anything, you shall not go into his house to fetch his pledge. You shall stand outside, and the man to whom you did lend shall bring out the pledge outside to you. And if the man is poor, you shall not sleep with his pledge. In any case you shall deliver him the pledge again when the sun goes down, that he may sleep in his own clothing, and bless you, and it shall be righteousness to you before Yehovah your God. You shall not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he is of your brothers, or of your strangers that are in your land within your gates. That day you shall give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for he is poor, and sets his heart upon it, or else he cry against you to Yehovah, and it is sin to you. The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers, every man shall be put to death for his own sin. You shall not pervert the judgment of the stranger, or of the fatherless, or take a widow's clothing to pledge. But you shall remember that you were a servant in Egypt, and Yehovah your God redeemed you there, therefore I command you to do this thing. When you cut down your harvest in your field, and have forgotten a sheaf in the field, you shall not go again to fetch it, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that Yehovah your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive tree, you shall not go over the branches again, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not glean it afterwards, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And you shall remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, therefore I command you to do this thing. If there is a dispute between men, and they come to judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous, and condemn the wicked. And it shall be, if the wicked man is worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down, and to be beaten before his face, according to his fault, by a certain number. 40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed, or else, if he should exceed, and beat him above these with many stripes, then your brother should seem disinured to you. You shall not muzzle the ox when he treads out the corn. If brothers dwell together, and one of them dies, and has no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry outside to a stranger, her husband's brother shall go into her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be, that the firstborn which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name is not put out of Israel. And if the man does not desire to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate to the elders, and say, My husband's brother refuses to raise up to his brother a name in Israel, he will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him, and speak to him, and if he stands to it, and says, I do not desire to take her, then shall his brother's wife come to him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, So shall it be done to that man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that has his shoe loosed. When men strive together one with another, and the wife of the one draws near for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that strikes him, and puts out her hand, and takes him by the private parts, then you shall cut off her hand, your eye shall not pity her. You shall not have in your bag different weights, a great and a small. You shall not have in your house different measures, a great and a small. But you shall have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure shall you have, that your days may be lengthened in the land which Yehovah your God gives you. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination to Yehovah your God. Remember what Amalek did to you by the way, when you all had come out outside of Egypt. How he met you by the way, and struck the rear part of you, even all that were feeble behind you, when you were faint and weary, and he did not fear God. Therefore it shall be, when Yehovah your God has given you rest from all your enemies round about, in the land which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance to possess it, that you shall blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, you shall not forget it. And it shall be, when you have come into the land which Yehovah your God gives you for an inheritance, and possess it, and dwell in it. That you shall take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which you shall bring from your land that Yehovah your God gives you, and shall put it in a basket, and shall go to the place which Yehovah your God shall choose to place his name there. And you shall go to the priest that shall be in those days, and say to him, I declare this day to Yehovah your God, that I have come into the land which Yehovah swore to our fathers to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of your hand, and set it down before the altar of Yehovah your God. And you shall speak and say before Yehovah your God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt, and resided there with a few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and many. And the Egyptians treated us with evil, and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And when we cried to Yehovah God of our fathers, Yehovah heard our voice, and looked on our affliction, and our labor, and our oppression. And Yehovah brought us out outside of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. And he has brought us into this place, and has given us this land, even a land that flows with milk and honey. And now, look, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which you, O Yehovah, have given me. And you shall set it before Yehovah your God, and worship before Yehovah your God. And you shall rejoice in every good thing which Yehovah your God has given to you, and to your house, you, and the Levite, and the stranger that is among you. When you have finished tithing all the tithes of your increase, the third year, which is the year of tithing, and have given it to the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within your gates, and be filled. Then you shall say before Yehovah your God, I have brought away the holy things out of my house, and also have given them to the Levite, and to the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all your commandments which you have commanded me. I have not transgressed your commandments, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten of it in my mourning, neither have I taken away any of it for any unclean use, or given any of it for the dead, but I have listened to the voice of Yehovah my God, and have done according to all that you have commanded me. Look down from your holy habitation, from heaven, and bless your people Israel, and the land which you have given us, as you swore to our fathers, a land that flows with milk and honey. This day Yehovah your God has commanded you to do these statutes and judgments, you shall therefore keep and do them with all your heart, and with all your soul. You have said today that Yehovah is to be your God, and to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and to listen to his voice. And Yehovah has said today that you are to be his special treasure of people, as he has promised you, and that you should keep all his commandments. And to make you high above all nations which he has made, in praise, and in name, and in honor, and that you may be a holy people to Yehovah your God, as he has spoken. And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, Keep all the commandments which I command you this day. And it shall be on the day when you all shall pass over the Jordan to the land which Yehovah your God gives you, that you shall set yourselves up great stones, and plaster them with plaster. And you shall write upon them all the words of this law, when you have passed over, that you may go into the land which Yehovah your God gives you, a land that flows with milk and honey, as Yehovah God of your fathers has promised you. Therefore it shall be when you all have gone over the Jordan, that you all shall set up these stones, which I command you this day, in Mount Ebal, and you shall plaster them with plaster. And there shall you build an altar to Yehovah your God, an altar of stones, you shall not lift up any iron tool upon them. You shall build the altar of Yehovah your God of whole stones, and you shall offer burnt offerings on it to Yehovah your God. And you shall offer peace offerings, and shall eat there, and rejoice before Yehovah your God. And you shall write upon the stones all the words of this law very plainly. And Moses and the priests the Levites spoke to all Israel, saying, Beware, and listen, O Israel, this day you have become the people of Yehovah your God. You shall therefore obey the voice of Yehovah your God, and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day. And Moses commanded the people the same day, saying, These shall stand upon Mount Gerizim to bless the people, when you all have come over the Jordan, Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Joseph, and Benjamin. And these shall stand upon Mount Ebal to curse, Reuben, Gad, and Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall speak, and say to all the men of Israel with a loud voice, Cursed is the man that makes any graven or molten image, an abomination to Yehovah, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and puts it in a secret place. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen. Cursed are those that despise their father or their mother. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that remove their neighbor's landmark. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that make the blind to wander out of the way. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that pervert the judgment of the stranger, fatherless, and widow. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he that lies with his father's wife, because he uncovers his father's garment corner. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that lie with any kind of beast. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he that lies with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed is he that lies with his mother-in-law. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that secretly strike his neighbor. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that take reward to kill an innocent person. And all the people shall say, Amen. Cursed are those that do not confirm all the words of this law to do them. And all the people shall say, Amen. And it shall come to pass, if you shall listen diligently to the voice of Yehovah your God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command you this day, that Yehovah your God will set you on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on you, and overtake you, if you shall listen to the voice of Yehovah your God. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your cows, and the flocks of your sheep. Blessed shall be your basket and your store. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. Yehovah shall cause your enemies that rise up against you to be struck down before your face, they shall come out against you one way, and flee before you 7 ways. Yehovah shall command a blessing upon you in your storehouses, and in all that you set your hand to, and he shall bless you in the land which Yehovah your God gives you. Yehovah shall establish you a holy people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you shall keep the commandments of Yehovah your God, and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of Yehovah, and they shall be afraid of you. And Yehovah shall make you plentiful in goods, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yehovah swore to your fathers to give you. Yehovah shall open to you his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand, and you shall lend to many nations, and you shall not borrow. And Yehovah shall make you the head, and not the tail, and you shall only be above, and you shall not be beneath, if that you listen to the commandments of Yehovah your God, which I command you this day, to observe and to do them. And you shall not go aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right hand, or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if you will not listen to the voice of Yehovah your God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you, and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your store. Cursed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, the increase of your cows, and the flocks of your sheep. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. Yehovah shall send upon you cursing, confusion, and rebuke, in all that you set your hand for to do, until you are destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your deeds, of which you have forsaken me. Yehovah shall make the pestilence cling to you, until he has consumed you from off the land, where you go to possess it. Yehovah shall strike you with a wasting disease, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue you until you perish. And your heaven that is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under you shall be iron. Yehovah shall make the rain of your land powder and dust, from heaven shall it come down upon you, until you are destroyed. Yehovah shall cause you to be struck down before your enemies, you shall go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And your carcass shall be meat to all fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the earth, and no man shall frighten them away. Yehovah will strike you with the boils of Egypt, and with the tumor, and with the scab, and with the itch, that which you cannot be healed. Yehovah shall strike you with madness, and blindness, and astonishment of heart. And you shall grope at noonday, as the blind gropes in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways, and you shall be only oppressed and plundered always, and no man shall save you. You shall become engaged to a wife, and another man shall lie with her, you shall build a house, and you shall not dwell in it. You shall plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes of it. Your ox shall be killed before your eyes, and you shall not eat of it. Your male donkey shall be violently taken away from before your face, and shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, and you shall have no one to rescue them. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look, and fail with longing for them all day long, and there shall be no might in your hand. The fruit of your land, and all your labors, shall a nation which you do not know eat up, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed always. So that you shall be mad for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. Yehovah shall strike you in the knees, and in the legs, with a sore boil that cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. Yehovah shall bring you, and your king which you shall set over you, to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword, among all nations wherever Yehovah shall lead you. You shall carry abundant seed out into the field, and shall gather a little in, for the locusts shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards, and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your coasts, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olive shall drop its fruit. You shall bear sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All your trees and fruit of your land shall the locusts consume. The stranger that is within you shall get up above you very high, and you shall come down very low. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Also all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, till you are destroyed, because you did not listen to the voice of Yehovah your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed always. Because you did not serve Yehovah your God with joyfulness, and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies which Yehovah shall send against you, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck, until he has destroyed you. Yehovah shall bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose tongue you shall not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, or show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle, and the fruit of your land, until you are destroyed, which also shall not leave you corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your cows, or flocks of your sheep, until he has destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, which you trusted, throughout all your land, and he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yehovah your God has given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and of your daughters, which Yehovah your God has given you, in the siege, and in the distress, with which your enemies shall distress you. So that the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children which he shall leave. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he has nothing left to him in the siege, and in the distress, with which your enemies shall distress you in all your gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil towards the husband of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter, and towards her young one that comes out from between her feet, and towards her children whom she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and distress, with which your enemy shall distress you in your gates. If you will not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yehovah your God, then Yehovah will make your plagues extraordinary, and the plagues of your seed, even great plagues, and of long standing, and sore sicknesses, and of long standing. Also he will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt, which you were afraid of, and they shall cling to you. Also every sickness, and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, them will Yehovah bring upon you, until you are destroyed. And you all shall be left few in number, whereas you all were as the stars of heaven for abundance, because you would not obey the voice of Yehovah your God. And it shall come to pass, that as Yehovah rejoiced over you to do you good, and to multiply you, so Yehovah will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to nothing, and you all shall be plucked from off the land where you go to possess it. And Yehovah shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest, but Yehovah shall give you there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, if only it were evening. And at evening you shall say, if only it were morning. For the fear of your heart with which you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. And Yehovah shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way of which I spoke to you, you shall see it no more again, and there you all shall be sold to your enemies for menservants and maidservants, and no man shall buy you. These are the words of the covenant, which Yehovah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moses called to all Israel, and said to them, you all have seen all that Yehovah did before your eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. The great trials which your eyes have seen, the signs, and those great miracles. Yet Yehovah has not given you a heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear, to this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness, your clothes have not grown old upon you, and your shoe is not grown old upon your foot. You all have not eaten bread, neither have you all drunk wine or strong drink, that you all might know that I am Yehovah your God. And when you all came to this place, Sihon the king of Heshbon, and Og the king of Bashan, came out against us to battle, and we struck them. And we took their land, and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh. Therefore keep the words of this covenant, and do them, that you all may prosper in all that you all do. You all stand this day all of you before Yehovah your God, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel. Your little ones, your wives, and your stranger that is in your camp, from the cutter of your wood to the drawer of your water. That you should enter into covenant with Yehovah your God, and into his oath, which Yehovah your God makes with you this day. That he may establish you today for a people to himself, and that he may be to you a God, as he has said to you, and as he has sworn to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here with us this day before Yehovah our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For you all know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which you all passed by. And you all have seen their abominations, and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Or else there should be among you man, or woman, or family, or tribe, whose heart turned away this day from Yehovah our God, to go and serve the gods of these nations, or else there should be among you a root that bears poison and wormwood. And it come to pass, when he heard the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of my heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. Yehovah will not spare him, but then the anger of Yehovah and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and Yehovah shall blot out his name from under heaven. And Yehovah shall separate him to evil, out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law. So that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a faraway land, shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sicknesses which Yehovah has laid upon it, and that the whole land on it is brimstone, and salt, and burning, that it is not sown, or bears, or any grass grew in it, like the overthrow of Sodom, and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, which Yehovah overthrew in his anger, and in his wrath. Even all nations shall say, why has Yehovah done so to this land? What is meant by the heat of this great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yehovah God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out outside of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other gods, and worshipped them, gods whom they did not know, and whom he had not given to them. And the anger of Yehovah was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And Yehovah rooted them out of their land in anger, and in wrath, and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. The secret things belong to Yehovah our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children always, that we may do all the words of this law. And it shall come to pass, when all these things have come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations, wherever Yehovah your God has driven you. And shall return to Yehovah your God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart, and with all your soul. That then Yehovah your God will turn your captivity, and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations, wherever Yehovah your God has scattered you. If any of you are driven out to the outermost parts of heaven, from there will Yehovah your God gather you, and from there will he fetch you. And Yehovah your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it, and he will do you good, and multiply you above your fathers. And Yehovah your God will circumcise your heart, and the heart of your seed, to love Yehovah your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, that you may live. And Yehovah your God will put all these curses upon your enemies, and on them that hate you, which persecuted you. And you shall return and obey the voice of Yehovah, and do all his commandments which I command you this day. And Yehovah your God will make you plentiful in every work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your land, for good, for Yehovah will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. If you shall listen to the voice of Yehovah your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in this book of the law, and if you turn to Yehovah your God with all your heart, and with all your soul. For this commandment which I command you this day, it is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven, and bring it to us, that we may hear it, and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it to us, that we may hear it, and do it? But the word is very near to you, in your mouth, and in your heart, that you may do it. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. In that I command you this day to love Yehovah your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and multiply, and Yehovah your God shall bless you in the land where you go to possess it. But if your heart turns away, so that you will not hear, but shall be drawn away, and worship other gods, and serve them, I tell you this day, that you all shall surely perish, and that you all shall not prolong your days upon the land, where you pass over the Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life, that both you and your seed may live. That you may love Yehovah your God, and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cling to him, for he is your life, and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yehovah swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. And Moses went and spoke these words to all Israel. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today, I can no more go out and come in, also Yehovah has said to me, you shall not go over this Jordan. Yehovah your God, he will go over before you, and he will destroy these nations from before you, and you shall possess them, and Joshua, he shall go over before you, as Yehovah has said. And Yehovah shall do to them as he did to Sihon and to Og, kings of the Amorites, and to the land of them, whom he destroyed. And Yehovah shall give them up before your face, that you all may do to them according to all the commandments which I have commanded you. Be strong and of a good courage, do not fear, or be afraid of them, for Yehovah your God, it is he that does go with you, he will not fail you, or forsake you. And Moses called to Joshua, and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of a good courage, for you must go with this people to the land which Yehovah has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. And Yehovah, it is he that does go before you, he will be with you, he will not fail you, neither forsake you, do not fear, neither be shattered. And Moses wrote this law, and delivered it to the priests the sons of Levi, which bore the ark of the covenant of Yehovah, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, at the appointed time of the year of release, in the Feast of Tabernacles, when all Israel has come to appear before Yehovah your God in the place which he shall choose, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people together, men, and women, and children, and your stranger that is within your gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn, and fear Yehovah your God, and observe to do all the words of this law. And that their children, which have not known anything, may hear, and learn to fear Yehovah your God, as long as you all live in the land with which you all go over the Jordan to possess it. And Yehovah said to Moses, Look, your days approach that you must die, call Joshua, and present yourselves in the tabernacle of the congregation, that I may give him a command. And Moses and Joshua went, and presented themselves in the tabernacle of the congregation. And Yehovah appeared in the tabernacle in a pillar of a cloud, and the pillar of the cloud stood over the door of the tabernacle. And Yehovah said to Moses, Look, you shall sleep with your fathers, and this people will rise up, and go a-prostituting after the gods of the strangers of the land, with which they go to be among them, and will forsake me, and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, Have not these evils come upon us, because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they shall have done, in that they have turned to other gods. Now therefore you all write the song for yourselves, and teach it to the children of Israel, put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. For when I shall have brought them into the land which I swore to their fathers, that flows with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten and filled themselves, and grown fat, then will they turn to other gods, and serve them, and provoke me, and break my covenant. And it shall come to pass, when many evils and troubles are befallen them, that this song shall testify against them as a witness, for it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their seed, for I know their imagination which they go about, even now, before I have brought them into the land which I swore. Moses therefore wrote the song the same day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And he gave Joshua the son of Nun a command, and said, Be strong and of a good courage, for you shall bring the children of Israel into the land which I swore to them, and I will be with you. And it came to pass, when Moses had made an end of writing the words of this law in a book, until they were finished, that Moses commanded the Levites, which bore the ark of the covenant of Yehovah, saying, Take this book of the law, and put it beside the ark of the covenant of Yehovah your God, that it may be there for a witness against you. For I know your rebellion, and your stiff neck. Look, while I am yet alive with you this day, you all have been rebellious against Yehovah, and how much more after my death? Gather to me all the elders of your tribes, and your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears, and call heaven and earth to record against them. For I know that after my death you all will utterly corrupt yourselves, and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the latter days, because you all will do evil in the sight of Yehovah, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. And Moses spoke in the ears of all the congregation of Israel the words of this song, until they were ended. Give ear, O all you heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yehovah, ascribe all of you greatness to our God. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, a God of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves, their spot is not the spot of his children, they are a perverse and crooked generation. Do you also repay Yehovah, O foolish people and unwise? Is not he your father that has bought you? Has he not made you, and established you? Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yehovah's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the waste howling wilderness, he led him about, he instructed him, he kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up her nest, flutters over her young, spreads out her wings, takes them, bears them on her wings. So Yehovah alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him. He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock. Butter from cows, and milk from sheep, with fat of lambs, and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats, with the fat of kidneys of wheat, and you did drink the pure blood of the grape. But Jeshurun grew fat, and kicked, you have grown fat, you have grown thick, you are covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and dishonoured the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, with abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to devils, not to God, to gods whom they did not know, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers did not fear. Of the rock that bore you, yourselves are unmindful, and have forgotten God that formed you. And when Yehovah saw it, he despised them, because of the provoking of his sons, and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them, I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very perverse generation, children in whom is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God, they have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people, I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn to the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with its increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap evils upon them, I will spend my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword outside, and terror within, shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. I said, I would scatter them into corners, I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, or else their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, or else they should say, Our hand is high, and Yehovah has not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. How should one chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock had sold them, and Yehovah had shut them up? For their rock is not as our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For their vine is of the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah, their grapes are grapes of poison, their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons, and the cruel venom of asps. Is not this laid up in store with me, and sealed up among my treasures? To me belongs vengeance, and repayment, their foot shall slide in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things that shall come upon them will come quickly. For Yehovah shall judge his people, and himself will repent for his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none shut up, or left. And he shall say, Where are their gods, their rock in whom they trusted? Which did eat the fat of their sacrifices, and drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you, and be your protection. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, and I make alive, I wound, and I heal, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven, and say, I live forever. If I sharpen my glittering sword, and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will return vengeance to my enemies, and will be at peace with them that hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, and that with the blood of the slain and of the captives, from the beginning of revenges upon the enemy. Rejoice, O all you nations, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will return back vengeance to his adversaries, and will be merciful to his land, and to his people. And Moses came and spoke all the words of the song in the ears of the people, he, and Oshea the son of Nun. And Moses made an end of speaking all these words to all Israel. And he said to them, Set your hearts to all the words which I testify among you this day, which you all shall command your children to observe to do, all the words of this law. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life, and through this thing you all shall prolong your days in the land, with which you all go over the Jordan to possess it. And Yehovah spoke to Moses that same day, saying, Get yourself up into this mountain Abarim, to Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and look at the land of Canaan, which I give to the children of Israel for a possession. And die in the mountain with which you go up, and be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people. Because you both trespassed against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because you both did not sanctify me in the middle of the children of Israel. Yet you shall see the land before you, but you shall not go to the land which I give to the children of Israel. And this is the blessing, with which Moses the man of God blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yehovah came from Sinai, and rose up from Seir to them, he shone out from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints, from his right hand went a fiery law for them. Also, he loved the people, all his saints are in your hand, and they sat down at your feet, every one shall receive of your words. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. Let Reuben live, and not die, and let his men not be few. And this is the blessing of Judah, and he said, Hear, Yehovah, the voice of Judah, and bring him to his people, let his hands be sufficient for him, and you be a help to him from his enemies. And of Levi he said, Let your Thummim and your Urim be with your Holy One, whom you did test at Massah, and with whom you did strive at the waters of Meribah. Who said to his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brothers, or knew his own children, for they have observed your word, and kept your covenant. They shall teach Jacob your judgments, and Israel your law, they shall put incense before you, and whole burnt sacrifice upon your altar. Bless, Yehovah, his substance, and accept the work of his hands, strike through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they do not rise again. And of Benjamin he said, the beloved of Yehovah shall dwell in safety by him, and Yehovah shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders. And of Joseph he said, blessed of Yehovah is his land, for the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that lies down beneath. And for the precious fruits brought out by the sun, and for the precious things put out by the moon. And for the top things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills. And for the precious things of the earth and fullness on it, and for the good will of him that dwelt in the bush, let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brothers. His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of a rhinoceros, with them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. And of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in your going out, and, Issachar, in your tents. They shall call the people to the mountain, there they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck of the abundance of the seas, and of treasures hidden in the sand. And of Gad he said, blessed is he that enlarges Gad, he dwells as a lion, and tears the arm with the crown of the head. And he provided the first part for himself, because there, in a portion of the lawgiver, was he seated, and he came with the heads of the people, he executed the justice of Yehovah, and his judgments with Israel. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's cub, he shall leap from Bashan. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor, and full with the blessing of Yehovah, you possess the west and the south. And of Asher he said, let Asher be blessed with children, let him be acceptable to his brothers, and let him dip his foot in oil. Your shoes shall be iron and brass, and as your days, so shall be your strength. There is none like the God of Jeshurun, who rides upon the heaven in your help, and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before you, and shall say, destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone, the fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine, also his heavens shall drop down dew. Happy are you, O Israel, who is like you, O people saved by Yehovah, the shield of your help, and who is the sword of your excellency. And your enemies shall be found liars to you, and you shall tread upon their high places. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab to the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And Yehovah showed him all the land of Gilead, to Dan. And all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, to the uttermost sea. And the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, to Zor. And Yehovah said to him, this is the land which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your seed, I have caused you to see it with your eyes, but you shall not go over to there. So Moses the servant of Yehovah died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of Yehovah. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth-peor, but no man knows of his grave to this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died, his eye was not dim, or his natural force diminished. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab for 30 days, so the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel listened to him, and did as Yehovah commanded Moses. And there did not arise a prophet since in Israel like Moses, whom Yehovah knew face to face. In all the signs and the wonders, which Yehovah sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. And in all that mighty hand, and in all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel.